You are live. Hello. Just waiting for some people to come in to start my story time. Let's see, I got a comment from Grady's World. I've been waiting on this. Hold up, she about to hit 600. It's quicker than I expected it to be, Grady's World. Thank you, honey. Thank you so much. You are the sweetest. Guys, I am somewhat in. Hi, love. Happy Monday. I'm somewhat in, like, I'm a little unnerved about this. My depression has me procrastinating. And then when I wait till the last minute to pull stuff together, my anxiety kicks in. So I'm trying to get it to come down a little bit because everything that I wanted to share with you guys today, I waited to the last minute to gather everything, and then I couldn't find some stuff. So I have had my husband running around the house trying to help me locate everything. So thank God for him. He helped me locate everything that I want to share with you guys today. So I would be lost without him today in a mess. So hey Demi, hey Tamiko, hey love, hey Grady's World. Um, thank y'all for joining me today. How's everybody today on this beautiful Monday? It's beautiful weather here in Kentucky. I got some notes here, y'all, that I'm looking up to make sure that my thoughts are in line with what I want to share today. Y'all got anything going on today? I appreciate you taking the time out to be with me. That means a whole lot. I'm going to wait a few minutes to see if anybody else comes in before I start sharing with you guys. It's windy here in Chicago. Okay. I don't know if I knew that's where you were from, Grady's World. I've been to Chicago a long time ago when my sister was in the military. Tamiko says it's raining in Wisconsin, but I'm doing well. That's great, Tamiko. I saw you walking yesterday, girl. I was like, I should have watched this earlier. I watched it last night after we got home from Easter with my mom. And I'm like, I should have watched this earlier because you would have motivated me. But I just sat on the couch and watched you walk. Love you eating lunch. My stomach feels like it's time for some, but my nerves ain't gonna allow me to eat nothing right now. And if it did, it wouldn't be the right thing. I'd be sitting somewhere with a bowl of ice cream. So thank goodness I don't have none here right now. Y'all, I have let's see if I can show y'all the shirt that I decided to wear. I've got so many things from different people over the years in memory of my children. And are you welcome, Tamiko? This shirt says I never walk alone. And it has little, I'm on the wrong side, little feet on the side of it here. So I got two different shirts and I'm not sure which one I got from who. Hey Candace. Hey love. Um, I'm not sure which one of these shirts. So I don't say the wrong thing. So I got one from my stepson's girlfriend, Marita, and then I got another shirt from one of my good friends, Carmen. And so I'm gonna see if I can kind of turn around to show you the back. The back of the shirt says, "My son and daughter walk with me." So I don't know how much of that you can see, but I thought it was fitting for the situation today. See, Grady's World says, my mom had a stillbirth, so you are not alone. Oh, I'm so sorry for her loss and your loss too, Grady's World, because my son, he's 10, and he still struggles with the fact of knowing that his brother and sister are not here anymore. And he gets really lonely and wishes he had siblings here. So that's really hard to watch him and his grief as well. So it's not just the mom or the parents that, grieve the loss um, of the baby. I know the siblings grieve as well. So I'm so sorry for you all's loss. Beautiful. Thank you, Candace. So I don't want to take up too much of you guys' time. So I'm going to go ahead and start the story time. And I don't know really where I want to begin, I guess. Um, at the beginning, right? So I've been married twice, and my first two children were by my first husband. And both of those children have passed away. And today I want to talk about Jaden. And a lot of people, especially if they're friends with me on Facebook or or follow me on Instagram or something like that, or even in my YouTube videos, I speak a lot on my son Jalen. He was 20, and I'll have a story time coming out about later on about him. But Jaden, I don't speak as much on her. And my son Javon, that lives here in the home, he kind of gets upset about that. He's like, why don't you do this for Jaden? Why don't you say this about Jaden? And what I had to explain to Javon, of course, he's 10 and he's a child, so he don't quite understand. But because she was stillborn, her birth date and death date is all the same day. So it's kind of hard to celebrate that day. So we just started last year getting a cake for her birthday, and that's just because Javon brought it to my attention. He didn't think it was right that we would always get a birthday cake to celebrate Jalen's birthday, but never had gotten one to celebrate Jaden's birthday. So we started doing that as of last year per Javon's request. And her birthday is coming up. It's April 13th. So I didn't want to do this on her birthday, but I do want to dedicate like this month. I thought it would be a good time to share my story. So Javon has already bought a birthday cake for us to make together for Jaden's birthday. He's a very sensitive kid. And, he left to go ride his bike now when he knows I'm getting ready to do this story time with you guys. So anyway, with that being said, let me start with the fact that I was with my first husband, and he has passed away as well. His name was Brian, and we had our son together when I was 16 years old. I was pregnant with Jalen, and I always wanted a bunch of kids. And so we never tried not to have children. I mean, we never used protection basically. I just had a hard time getting pregnant. So Jalen was 10 when I got pregnant with Jaden. So basically it took me 10 years to be able to get pregnant. And I always yearned for a child. If my menstrual cycle was a couple days late, I started getting excited, like I might be pregnant, and I take a pregnancy test, and it would be negative. And I always wanted a girl. I can't speak for every woman, but I think for the most part, maybe it seems from the women that I've talked to, a lot of women want girls. So when I got pregnant with Jaden, I was so surprised and so excited. And I remember I was working at my old job, and I was talking about how my breasts were tender and stuff. And a lady was like, "You might want to go take a pregnancy test." And I'm like, "No, it's been almost 10 years, and I haven't been able to get pregnant, so I know I'm not pregnant." And I was. So I started, going to the OBGYN and things for my pregnancy. and things were going well. My sister was pregnant at the same time with my nephew Kenyon, who will be 16 this year. So she started having some spotting and bleeding a little bit during her pregnancy, and we were starting to get worried about the her pregnancy and things. So everything was fine with that, and so maybe a few weeks to a month later, I started spotting, and I lived in a different town at the time, and I felt like because of her situation, like I'm sure everything is fine. So I was waiting for my first husband at the time. I was waiting for him to get home from work before, even calling the doctor. And I finally did, as the bleeding got a little bit heavier and stuff. I called and they told me to come into the hospital to get checked. So I go to the hospital. My doctor comes in, or my OBGYN comes in, and she checks me. And tells me that I've started dilating. And okay, so at this time I'm 20 weeks pregnant, and she tells me I've started dilating and I have to lay flat. I couldn't even get up to go use the bathroom, and they brought me a bedpan and things like that. So after running tests and things like that, um, come to find out I have what is called an incompetent cervix. And what that means is that you start dilating early on. You have a weak cervix, basically. So a lot of people find out that they have a incompetent cervix early on, or with their first pregnancy, is what I was told. That typically it is when typically you lose your first child, especially if it happens early on, too early at the time for the baby to survive. So that um, for me, it happened with my second pregnancy. So I was admitted to the hospital at 20 weeks pregnant, and they had to do surgery on me called a cerclage. And that's when they go, inside of you and they tie up your cervix so that it will stop the dilating. So they kept me at the hospital I was in there a total of 2 weeks, basically. And mind you, this has been almost 16 years ago, so I'm not sure how many days I was in um, when they sent different specialists down, but I was doing well. I remember I was doing well, and I was going to be released from the hospital on a Saturday. And my aunt Gay was in the room with me, and I got up to use the bathroom. At that point, I had already had the surgery, so it was safe for me to get up and go to the bathroom and use the bathroom and things. And so when I was in the bathroom, I felt a pressure. It was a weird sensation I really can't explain, but I yelled for my aunt, and um, it was almost like I felt like I had to urinate, but I couldn't. I couldn't urinate. So she yelled for the nurse, who told me to get back into the bed. And I was laying there just for a few minutes, and the nurse kind of, rubbed my tummy to comfort me or whatever. And literally, as soon as she touched my stomach, it was like my water broke. So of course, there was a lot of chaos and panicking from me, and the doctors coming in and things like that. And I'm talking to different people, my cousins and things, getting advice on, oh my God, what's getting ready to happen. And they were trying to encourage me and tell me that you can still have what is called a dry birth, like a baby could still survive even though your water has broke. You can still, maintain the pregnancy. Um, the doctors said that's not quite how it works, and that is rare occasion that happens. And they were wanting me to deliver her, um, knowing that she was not going to survive. She would be stillborn. I refused to do that. I was going to go home. They said they couldn't do anything else for me. I was going to go home and um, hope and pray for the best. So they had a bunch of different neonatal doctors coming in, advising me, um, and educating me on what would happen if I tried to go home and not allow them to deliver the baby. Um, and at this point, I already knew that I was having a girl. Let me say that. Thank you, Candace. I already knew I was having a girl. Not that that made a difference, but I just wanted, to let you all know, as much as I yearned for a girl, I knew that this was a girl that I was pregnant with. So, they told me that they couldn't force me to deliver her, but maintaining that, attempting to maintain that pregnancy, that she wasn't going to survive regardless of what I did, and that it definitely, she wasn't going to survive, and it could kill me as well. So, I had a whole lot to think about because I had another child. So Jalen, remember, he was 10 at the time, and so they told me that what probably would happen if I went home is that I would deliver her. I could go to the bathroom to have a bowel movement, and I could deliver her in the toilet. And the thought of that terrified me. So, and they also talked about all the different things that, um, if I was able to maintain the pregnancy, all the different things that, um, she could have, different problems and stuff she could have. Um, so I had asked my OBGYN if they could give her steroids to help her grow rapidly. And because I was told by my cousin that that was, um, a possibility too. So what she said, now of course technology and times and things have changed since then, um, but so I was 20 weeks pregnant when I went into the hospital. I was 22 weeks pregnant when my water broke. So at 22 weeks, at that time, which was 2005, um, yes, love, it was a very tough decision to make. Thank you. Um, at that time, a baby could not survive before 24 weeks because it was at 24 weeks that they developed lung buds. So, what my OBGYN told me, she said that at 22 weeks, giving Jaden steroids would not increase her chances. It wouldn't help her or make a difference because at that point, she didn't even have the lung buds for the steroids to help the lungs grow. At 24 weeks is when they developed lung buds, and she didn't even have the buds for the steroids to help her. I hate that you felt pressure from the medical personnel. Yes, love. Like I was really wanting things to go my way, and I was going to them with every idea that I was given. Um, and I know that they're the professionals, but I've seen stranger things happen in my life, or heard from stories from other people, um, where the doctors said that there wasn't a possibility, and there was. My husband is a testimony to that. I shared just the other day with my friend Candace, that my husband was paralyzed, um, before I met him. He was paralyzed in a car accident, or he was a truck driver, so he had wrecked his rig, and he was paralyzed for about 6 months. He said, and of course, this was before I met him. So, um, and that was in Michigan. So the doctors wanted to amputate his leg and told him that he would never walk again. And for whatever, I'm not sure the details, but anyway, they wanted to amputate his leg, and he didn't allow them to do that. And my husband is walking, so the doctors don't know everything. And so I fought, or tried to keep the, I guess, inevitable from happening. And um, basically, there was no more they could do for me. So I finally agreed to allow them to induce my labor. Now, mind you, with my first pregnancy with Jalen, it was an emergency C-section. Well, this, God works in mysterious ways. Yes, Grady's world. Yes, yes, he does. And so, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. I agreed to allow them to go ahead and induce my pregnancy, and I had a emergency C-section with Jalen, but because Jaden was so tiny, like she was less than a pound at that point, I had to deliver her vaginally. So they had to induce my labor with, I think it's called Pitocin, that pill they put inside of you to make you start contracting and things like that. So I had to go through the whole delivery process, and that was my first experience with the vaginal delivery. And so, but I allowed them to do that. I was surrounded, by my family. My mom was there, and my husband at the time was there. Um, and had other family come up to visit us, afterwards. They allowed us to spend time with her. But let me back up. So, of course, it happened pretty quickly. She was so small that I don't remember if I even had to be fully dilated. Yeah, I think I did. I think I did. But um, anyway, I remember pushing, and I'm sorry, like the intricate details are kind of all a blur to me. So anyway, I remember delivering her, and they they took her away and got her cleaned up and allowed us to spend time with her. So I held her and I cried, and um, I mourned and I grieved, and we had to make um, funeral arrangements. Well, we were given the decision, we were given the option on what do you want to do now. You can have her cremated, you can do a traditional funeral and burial, or you can donate her to science for research. So at the time, for me, I think that cremation is more common these days than it was back then, but that wasn't an option for me. I was like, no. Um, donating her to science for research wasn't an option for me. I wanted to have a traditional funeral and burial. So that's what we did. My uncle is a pastor, so he led. I'm sorry. He led the ceremony and everything, and we had a traditional graveside funeral and service for her, and she was buried. So I've shared with you guys before how I suppress a lot of stuff, and I don't um, allow myself to feel all the feels all the time because it's hard. I've had a lot of trauma, and I just kind of push it down to be able to continue to function. So it's kind of been how I've dealt with a whole lot of things in life just because I've been through so much. So I haven't talked a lot about Jaden or even allow myself to feel a lot of things regarding that loss because it was just it's just too hard to feel that pain. Is a physical pain that you can't quite put your finger on, can't quite explain what that feels like to lose a baby. And sometimes people can be not understanding all the time. They can be a little insensitive with the things that they say. So, I have people saying, well, at least you still have Jalen. Or you can always have another child, but I'll never have another Jaden. Okay. So I remember coming home from the funeral service and going back into the bedroom, and family was out in the living room and stuff. I went back to my bedroom. I got underneath my covers. I put my gospel music on, and I cried and I cried and I cried. My mom came back there to comfort me, and she wanted me to get up and be with people so that I wasn't just back there, alone and in pain. But that's what I wanted to do at the time. Like, I wanted to hurt. I didn't want to feel good. Because that's what it was. Like, I embraced the pain, and I just missed her so much. And when you don't have, it's different. Like I explained to Javon, like, I have all these memories of what Jalen was, different things that we did together, different things that he said, his personality, and the sound of his voice. And I don't have those things with Jaden. So when you don't have a child, or when you lost a child, I think that you feel those what ifs. What would she have looked like? What would she have sounded like? I've always had boys, so I always wanted like a daughter so we could go get our nails done together, or go shopping, or, do mother daughter stuff and experiences. Going to the prom, or getting married, or her having a baby. I think sometimes people don't know what to say when you're grieving. Tamiko, yes, I agree. And I don't hold it against people, because as much trauma as I've been through and loss that I've had in my life, I have certainly stuck my foot in my mouth unintentionally, um, because you don't know what to say. Like, I think some people think that I will have the words to say to other people who are grieving because I've grieved so much. No, I don't. No, I don't. And I've had some really awkward, uncomfortable moments with people because I don't know what to say to them. So it's definitely that. Like, I haven't ever had anybody be malicious. People want to take your pain away and want you to feel better. So, they say things that they think are going to comfort you, and sometimes it offends you, hurt your feelings, or whatever. Tamiko, I'm a girl mom, so I definitely understand that mother daughter bond. Exactly, Tamiko. And I yearned for that, honey. Yearned for that so bad over the years. Candace, sometimes listening speaks volumes. Yes, Candace, it does. And I have learned that. Sometimes people don't even expect you to say anything, they just want a listening ear. And so, yes, I definitely learned to just listen, and you don't have to say the right, try to figure out the right thing to say, because at the end of the day, you're not going to be able to say the right thing. You're not going to be able to say anything that will just take their pain away anyway. So, at that time, Jalen, he was okay. Like, he wasn't one that like Javon wants siblings so bad to the point that he wants us to foster or adopt. Jalen was fine just having his cousins to hang out with and play with. He wasn't one that always, wanted another child in the home. He was okay. So he didn't really express himself a lot about um, losing Jaden. Mind you, he was 10 at the time. So he um he wasn't very vocal about her that I could recall. So we buried her in the town where we were living at the time, which was a which is about 45 minutes from where I live at now. And we were living there because I was working there and just wanted to be closer to my job. So that is what happened and how I lost Jaden. I don't really remember ever trying to, like, get into a lot of therapy then, or counseling, or I kind of was, I would read books. I would just kind of want to say encourage myself. I didn't reach out for help, but I did start going to church more. And I really feel like that losing Jaden is what strengthened my relationship with God, because I knew that I had a daughter in heaven and that I wanted to see her again someday. So I wanted to get my life together and get right with God so that I would see my daughter again someday. Um, and I know this can be frowned upon sometimes, but another thing that I did was, I know it's kind of controversial, but I did go to a medium to try to connect with Jaden, because I needed to know that she was okay. I needed to, I had guilt. I had a lot of guilt, like, what if I hadn't waited for Brian to get home, before I sought medical attention? If I had went sooner, would that have changed the outcome? What if I had have just went ahead and went home and took my chances? Would she still be here? So I did a few things to try to connect with her, or seek help, or connect with God to strengthen my relationship there so that I could see her, to ensure that I would see her again. And you will see her again. Thank you, Candace. Thank you. Hello. Thank you for joining us. I'm doing well. How are you? Tamiko, it wasn't your fault. God doesn't make mistakes. And it took me a while, Tamiko, to really accept that. We as women put a lot of pressure on ourselves. We're supposed to have it all together at all times. And uh, I think that there's just a certain, for me anyway, I can't speak for all women, but, and I've since learned and know better, but at the time, I definitely had a lot of guilt. Like, I should have done something differently. Like, and I'm a controlling person. So, certain, thank you so much. Accept your love from India. Thank you. I appreciate that. I think that um just I know that now, but then I didn't. So I thought that I could control all things. So if I had done the right thing, she would still be here. I just wasn't sure what I should have done something differently, and she would still be here. But I've since accepted that, God has a plan for all of us, and that was His plan for Jaden. And I feel like that, for me, the purpose of that was to bring me closer to God. So that helped comfort me somewhat, but I still yearn for her. So I immediately wanted to try to get pregnant again, because after 10 years of, um, hey, Javon, you okay? All right. My son just walked in. Um, so, 10 years of not being able to get pregnant, and finally getting pregnant, I thought, well, let me try again. And I'm sorry, guys. He wasn't supposed to be here. He was out playing with a friend. You gonna step out? Okay. All right. Brady's world. When one is put in that situation, it's a given to expect that I would have did the same thing, to be honest. Thank you. Thank you. Um, so I immediately started, trying to get pregnant again. Um, but my husband at the time, he did not, my first husband, he did not want more children. So he had a vasectomy. So I supported him in that. It's not what I wanted, but he felt strongly about it. So I knew then that we wouldn't have any more children. So I kind of moved forward, and started putting one foot in front of the other, and suppressed my grief. And YouTube has been very therapeutic for me, and been a platform to allow me to share things um, about myself that I never speak about, like this. And when I was um, getting ready for this live, I was trying to gather all of Jaden's things. I have some things over here I want to show you guys, and I couldn't find some of the stuff. And that's because I had it tucked away and hadn't looked at it in so long that I didn't even remember where some of the things were. So thank God my husband helped me locate those things. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you some of the things that I have. When she passed away, I ordered this for it has a stand that it sits on a shelf that I have a lot of things in memory of my children on. It says, in love and memory of Jaden Rochelle Tongue, April 13th, 2005. We love you with all our heart, and we always will. And I just thought this was really pretty stone. Some people that I saw online when I ordered this, they have it like in their flower bed and stuff, but I didn't want the sediment to touch it, so I keep it inside on a shelf. I also, this is a poem that I wrote when she passed away. And it says, Jaden Rochelle Tongue, and in quotations it says, sassy. That's what her dad's mom called her, because she was always moving. She was very active. Born April 13th, 2005. Died April 13th, 2005. And it says, a season for angels. We received our angel just the other day. God reached out his hands to her and took our angel away. Blessed to have her with us, even for a while. That short amount of time makes us stop and smile. It must be a season for angels, Jaden Rochelle Tongue, taken from us perfect, precious, and young. And then it's got just a little picture of praying hands on a stone. And at the very bottom it says, conceived in love, received in love, lost in love, remembered in love. Now, I used to write poems all the time when I was younger, and that was therapeutic for me too. So I wrote that in memory of her. And at the hospital, now I told you guys that they allowed us to hold her and spend time with her for as long as we wanted to, and she was with us for a few hours. But then I could tell that it was time for us to move forward. We had to start making arrangements and things. So, Candace, and never forgotten. Very beautiful. Thank you, Candace. I'm watching, baby. Hey, Mama. Thank you. So, this is something that they gave me to take home. This was tied up. I just untied it. It's a memory box with some things in it for us to just take home. Beautiful poem. Thank you, love. Thank you. So it has this quilt in there that's pink and cream. And it's folded up. So inside of the quilt, there are some things that they put in there. And I know, it's just to comfort me to have something to bring home. So there's a shell here. And these are so, so tiny. The little hats here. And a little pink hat. A little flower. Here's another little hat they put in there. It's a receiving blanket with a ribbon around it. And all these things were tucked down inside the quilt. And that's what I brought home from the hospital. I have a what is this called? I can't even think right now. I'm sorry, y'all. What you put pictures in. Photo album. The channel is growing rapidly. What is going on? I don't want to mispronounce your name, so I'm not. I'm not gonna try. I'm not sure, but I'm not talking about like my growth in channel, my channel growth on this live. This is dedicated to my daughter, who I lost. So that'll be for another time, but not today. Thank you for asking, though. Love, how sweet and thoughtful. Thank you, honey. Thank you. So this photo album, I have several different things in here as well. This is something that my mom wrote, a letter that she wrote to me that I have here. And I'll read that. It says, relying on his power, we have come together in love, caring and in sympathy on this special occasion. These are godly virtues which prove that God lives in each and every one of us. The book of Matthew, chapter 28, verse 20 says, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. This is proof that God is present and he is always with us. Demetra, Brian, and Jalen, you have lots of family, love, and support, but there's nothing like God's love and power. Even though Jaden's life was short, it was sweet. And I believe that she lived out the divine purpose that God laid out for her. Please rely on his power, not only to survive this, but to keep you from now on. Remember that he is our strength, our joy, and our hope for the future. And she is with God now. She is one of his most precious and littlest angels. And that was my mama, y'all. That's my rock. That's my rock right there. And I have several other little spiritual things in here. This is something else I wanted to share with you guys. Her tiny little footprints. Tiny. And this is the little card here that has her measurements on it. She was 12 ounces, 10 1/4 inches, and she was born on April 13th, 2005 at 12:03 a.m. And this little card says, when someone comes into our lives and they are too quietly and quickly gone, they leave footprints on our hearts and their memory stays with us forever. So losing my daughter was by far one of the most traumatic experiences that I have had. And my heart goes out to other women and families who have experienced that. And it's hard. Death is hard, period. And there's just nothing that you can do to prepare for losing someone. But I would definitely suggest to allow yourself to grieve, not suppress it, because it's a part of the process. When somebody dies, is to grieve them. I did have pictures of Jaden, and I hadn't really decided whether or not I was going to share that or those pictures or not. She was not fully developed. She had everything, but she still had she has a translucent color to her, and so it's something very intimate. I do have her picture in my home hanging on the wall, but it's not something that I posted on Facebook or anything like that. Beautiful. Thank you, Tamiko. Love says, at what point did you name Jaden? We had her name picked out already. So we had her first name picked out already before I went into labor with her. I wasn't sure about the middle name, but we hadn't picked out a middle name for her yet. And my middle name is Rochelle. So that's where the Rochelle. My middle name is Rochelle, and I just like the sound of the Rochelle with Jaden. So that's how we decided on the Rochelle, the middle name, at the hospital. Mama, you are doing well. I know that this is painful. Love you. You are one of my rocks too. I have 3. So Catherine Hughes, y'all, for those who don't know, that is my mother. And she raised 3 daughters with the help of her parents, my grandmother and grandfather, and did an outstanding job. So I take my hat off to her. And it's funny because my mom has all girls, and besides my daughter that I lost, all of her living grandchildren are boys. Be strong because we cannot change the time. Have lost my brother last year due to cancer. I'm so sorry for your loss. My condolences to you and your family. I know my mother-in-law, I never got to meet her. She died before I met my husband of cancer. And I know that is a very hard thing to go through. We haven't had that experience within my family that I have had to witness, but I've seen other people go through that. And I know it's very hard. So I'm so very sorry for your loss. So I think that as I'm looking at her pictures, I don't think that I should probably share them, because she's beautiful to me because I'm her mother. But with it not being she wasn't a fully developed baby, they could be disturbing for people. So I don't want to subject you all to that. Um, so I'm not going to share her pictures. I think that that was everything that I had set to the side to share with you guys today. Um, I had this book in my last live, and this is exactly what when I showed the book is when it froze up. So I'm praying to God it doesn't freeze up. It's called Mindfulness and Grief, and this book um, is a book that I'm reading right now. It kind of is geared towards people who have developed addictions, um, like my food addiction, with the grief and not um, allowing themselves to grieve and being more mindful about things that you do in life. So I'm going to be reading this, and I'll share more information about the book. It is by Heather Stang, and I found her on YouTube, um, looking for information about um, food addictions and the connection that it has, or many addictions, but the connection that it has with grief and um, and your mental health and wellness. Period. You could develop addictions, and I never made the connection. So I'm really trying to help myself heal, and this is a part of it. What I'm doing today, sharing with you guys on this live today, sharing my story about my loss. Like, this is the most I've sat and talked um, about Jaden for a very long time, probably since back then. Crafty Crafts. Hey sis. Hey, how you doing, sis? Thank you for joining us. Thank you. I hope you're doing well today, honey. Mama, I remember how it hurt you when you received Jaden's pictures. Decide not to share them is a good decision live. Yes, yes, it did. It was very traumatic. When I went and picked her pictures up from the hospital, um, I, for some reason, decided to pull them out of the envelope while I was driving down the highway, and had a complete meltdown and had to pull over on the side of the highway, and call my cousin, and she helped talk me through it. But the pictures were disturbing to me at the time. I don't remember her looking that way, you know, that she looked in the pictures in the moment when I was holding her and things. So, Crafty Crafts, yes, would love to hear what you're reading from this book. I appreciate you for sharing. You're welcome, and I appreciate your support, honey. And for my fellow YouTubers, if I think most of you are probably connected, but if you are not connected, check out each other's channels, um, because all of my YouTube family have great content. So check each other out. Uh, as far as moving forward, what am I going to do in my healing process? Well, reading that book is part of it. What I'm doing with you guys are part of it. Oh, let me say this. I wanted to share this part with you guys too. So I mentioned earlier that I had decided to have a graveside service that my uncle led the funeral service for, and we buried her about 45 minutes from where I currently live. And she was there even when I moved to where I live now. She was still buried there. Um, but then my son passed away. When he passed away in 2014, um, it was probably maybe 6 months or so later, I decided that I wanted my children together. So I paid to have my daughter moved from the graveyard she was at 45 minutes from me, and she is now buried at the foot of my son, who is buried beside his father at the graveyard that is here in the town that I live in. So I have my children at a nearby graveyard, and they are together. So that was part of something that I needed to do for my own peace of mind. I wanted them together. So that's very comforting for me to know that not only are they together in heaven, but their remains are together here. So when I go visit, I'm visiting both of them. Uh, Jaden's birthday is coming up, April 13th, and she would be turning 16 years old. And I can't believe that it's been that long, because it just doesn't feel like it. You know, life, time passes you by in the blink of an eye. But I just, I thank God for her life and the lessons that I have learned from my experience in losing my daughter. And I just hope that me sharing my story is able to minister to someone else, even if it is for someone else to not feel like that they are all alone. I had met post, both most of my content is weight loss journey related, and I had did a grocery haul, and I posted at the end of that grocery haul, I shared with my subscribers that um, Jalen's birthday, no, no, it was the anniversary of his death was coming up. But in that, I told them, I said what his birthday was, and a lady listened to the video, and she commented and said that um, she lost a child, I believe it was 8 years ago, um, a son, and his birthday was the same as Jalen's birthday, which is May the 4th. And that made her feel like she wasn't alone. Once and she felt connected because our kids share the same birthday. So that's my reason for wanting to do the story time with you all and share um, the, the story of how things happened with Jaden, my pregnancy, and then the loss, and now the healing. And I don't know if I don't necessarily believe that you ever get healed. I think we're constantly healing from something. Uh, and I don't feel like that I've allowed myself to grieve enough to say that I'm healed from her, but I'm healing. And a part of my healing, I love to help people. So what feels good to me is to know that I helped somebody, to even if it's just to feel like they're not alone and we're in this together, or we share the same pain, because sometimes it can be very lonely. It can be a very lonely place to be. A lot of times it's because people don't speak on it. You never know who has been through that or what people have been through. You never know what people have been through. So that's why it's so very important to be kind. Kindness. You never know what kind of day someone is having, and you just saying hello or a smile or something, if you can see their face because of the mask. I'm just saying. But smiling at someone, um, or telling them to have a great day makes a world of difference for people. And I want to know that something that I did made a difference in other people's lives. So hopefully, even moving forward, someone will come across this live and be able to relate if they've been through it. So I think that's all I had to share with you guys regarding Jaden. I think that um, let me take a quick look because I did take some notes. Um,
Yeah, I guess my memory's serving me better than I thought it would. Because everything that I had noted, I did share with you all. So my daughter would be 16 April 13th, and I love her and I miss her and I thank God for her. And I will see her again someday. That's what I hang my hopes on to. Um, is that I'll see her again someday, and that experience helped to shape and mold me into who I am today. And I just I thank God for that. I thank God for that. We all want what we want. What of course I want her here. I want her here. But that's not what God saw fit. So accepting that and going through the healing process is is where I'm at now. So I thank you guys so much for your time and for listening to me and caring enough about me to hear my story and be here with me. It means a lot. And I know that moving forward, this, nothing is in vain. And I know Jaden's life wasn't in vain either. So there is a purpose. What my mom wrote in the letter, it definitely, it's God's divine purpose. Her life was. She was still here. She was still a part of this world because she lived in my tummy. She lived in my tummy for 22 weeks. And I just know that whether it be today or 5 years from now, somebody coming across this video, it may be somebody who hasn't even experienced it yet. Hopefully, I pray to God that this live will help somebody later on down the line. It's my auntie, Gay. She says, I think what you share is amazing and is a blessing to many. Thank you, Auntie. Lynette. Hey, sis, I'm late, but wanted to stop by and show love. Thank you, sis. Thank you, Lynette. I appreciate you, sis. Thank you. Tamiko, thank you for sharing with us, Demi. Thank you. Thank you guys for being with me and spending some time with me and listening to my story because tears are healing. And this has really helped me to get this off of my chest and to share it with people. Um, and to, a lot of times people, if they lose a baby, it just seems like that maybe to other people their lives weren't as important, especially when people say, well, you can always have another baby or something like that, then I don't know, it can make you feel like that their lives didn't matter. But here I am. You guys have been here with me this time to listen to my story about Jaden. So I thank you guys so much for that. Baby Wilson, there's my sis. Hey, sis. And I already know because I've connected with a few women who have experienced the same thing that it does help to know that you have someone that has been through what you've been through. It's always helped me. Even when I lost Jalen, it made me feel better to connect with other women who had, because they know what you're going through. They know what it feels like. Not everybody does, and I don't want people to know what it feels like because it's painful and it's something that you don't want other people to have to experience. Unfortunately, it is a part of life. Unfortunately. So I think that's all I have today, guys. I just really appreciate y'all. Y'all don't even know how much. So I thank everybody for their time because time is valuable. And you all spending with me is not taken for granted at all. Lynette, it definitely helps, especially when you have dealt with it for so long alone. Yes, yes. 'Cause a lot of times we'll suffer in silence, especially women, because we try to take on the world. We try to do it all. We try to do it all. Blessings. I'll see you next time. Thank you, love. Thank you for being with us today. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. I'm not going to hold you all any longer. My son is back there wanting to be a part of things, but I told him today wasn't a good day. This topic wasn't a good thing because he's very sensitive and he would get upset. Um, but I'm gonna go have some time with my son and let you guys have time with your family. And I just thank you for your time. And I will be checking out everybody's videos or being in touch with my friends and family. Thank you all. I love you. God bless you. And if you are going through something, don't suffer in silence. Reach out to somebody. Reach out to me. Reach out to me. Glad I could tune in to your live today, Demi. Me too. Thank you so much, Tamiko. Once again, you guys check out each other's channel. There's a lot of talent here in this live stream with all these channels and stuff on YouTube. So check everybody out, guys. I love you. Have a very blessed Monday. God bless you. And until next time, be blessed, guys. Mwah.